Hey everybody, we're back again. This is our look at the drama movies of the 2000s, 2000 to 2009. And we're back with Brian, Doc, and Trey, all here to run through and reminisce about the early 2000s. So, guys, we ready to rock and roll on this one?
Let's get her on.
Let's do it.
Go.
Trey, you're leading off.
All right, all right. Well, my number five is actually a movie I saw quite recently. The debut from a director that's gotten a lot of buzz lately in the past handful of years. Steve McQueen's debut, Hunger from 2008. Kind of goes through, I wasn't familiar with the story at all of Bobby Sands and the 1981 Irish hunger strike. It's if you haven't seen it, it's one of those films that you're probably going to watch once, and that'll be enough because it's such a bleak film. They really go into detail into the prison, the whole no wash order as well, and the lead guy, Michael Fassbender. Towards the end, where you really get to the hunger strike, it kind of reminds me of another really strong movie in the 2000s, The Machinist with Christian Bale. If you've seen that, where he goes down to next to nothing, it was almost even worse here. Just can see every rib, and
Wow.
as somebody who wasn't familiar with the story at all, it really kind of engrosses you and really makes you feel. That's for sure. So kind of wanted to just highlight that and squeak it in there at number five. Number four, a bit of a polarizing movie, which from some of the people I've talked to, but I got The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I think that's one of Brad Pitt's best roles.
Yeah.
He has to obviously carry a lot of range in that film, where you have that mystery and intrigue in there of, okay, why does this baby look 100 years old, and you're like, what's going on here? And you have a Kate Blanchett in here as well, who's kind of the love interest as the story goes on, and they kind of have to time that up well, where Benjamin Button's kind of in the middle of his life, where she is as well, and as he gets older, he becomes younger in a sense, and unfortunately kind of forgets about her and how she existed. And I just think it's a really unique concept. It's a bit of a lengthy movie, but even so, I think the acting and just intrigue of the entire story carries it. So I had that at number four. Number three, I might be stretching a little on the drama, but I think you could call it a romance drama film. I had one of this gentleman's films on my comedy list. I'm going Richard Linklater again with Before Sunset, the second in the Before trilogy, which in my estimation is some of the best romance films of all time. It's pretty short, only 80 minutes, but it's just carried by Ethan Hawke, who's one of my favorite actors, Julie Delpy. They pick up from Before Sunrise, which was made in the 90s. So this is 9 years later. They pick up in the gorgeous scene of Paris and just the setting of France. It's just fantastic, and some unbelievable dialogue, and the whole movie, though, I think can fit into that drama, because you don't really know, are they going to end up getting together at the end? And I think Linklater did a great job at the very end. He didn't give you the answer, but
Right.
there was a sequel to it in in 2013, where you kind of fill in some of those holes. Number two here is one of the most unique films I've ever seen. Not a ton of people have seen it. It's the directorial debut from Charlie Kaufman, and it stars, I know, Rich, you're a big fan of Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's Synecdoche, New York, 2008. Famous critic Roger Ebert declared this film the best film of the 2000s. I wouldn't go that far, but it's such a it's a film that gets you thinking. It's very surreal, and it's pretty much follows Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, who is a director himself, like as a play director, and it just takes you through the years. The timeline is decades, and the like line between reality and fiction kind of get blurred a little bit, where Philip Seymour Hoffman just gets engrossed in his own he's trying to do this big masterwork, and the sets are just really breathtaking. And it's a Kaufman film, so it's being John Malkovich is another fantastic film. I've heard Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is great as well. I still got to see that. I know he's a little bit polarizing and out there, but this is one where I think if it clicks with you, it works quite well. And my final one is the only foreign film I have on this entire list. It's going to be City of God from 2002, a Brazilian film. And this is one where if you've never seen like a foreign film or don't know if subtitles are for you, I think this is a fantastic film to start with, because it's just there's so much action in it. Starts in the 60s in kind of a slum of Rio de Janeiro, following a couple of these kids growing up. So, and as yet again, it kind of has some of those coming of age elements. And as they get going, some go off into the life of crime. Our lead character, tries to stay on the straight and narrow as a photographer, and a lot of violence in this, a lot of, but still has some of those heartwarming moments. And at the end, you figure out that it's actually a true story, or at least elements of it are true. So I just wanted to highlight that, and I just think that that's a film that deserves to be recognized a little bit. So those are my top 5.
Very strong. I love the pick of the Richard Linklater film, because that whole trilogy, even though they're spread out, you got one 90s, one early 2000s, one later 2000. He's a great filmmaker, and later Boyhood is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Same here, Rich.
By him. Yeah. So that's a good one to. And then Benjamin Button is an underrated film as well. It's tricky with the plot device, but it works in context, man. It's awesome. I have to say, Synecdoche, New York is not my favorite Kaufman movie. It's extremely well done, but it's one you need to see a couple times. Have you watched it more than once?
I've seen it twice, but it's one where I think you could watch like 5, 6, 7 times and still,
because it's intricate. It's very, very intricate. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's great in it. He's great in everything he does. And I like who's the actress in it? Oh God, one of my favorites, and I can't think of her name. The dark hair.
I'm drawing a blank myself.
Catherine Keener. She's an excellent actress, and I would hire her to do anything. She was in Being John Malkovich as well.
Right.
Very good. All right, Shawn, what do you got for us in the drama category?
Drama. So drama, like we said before, probably on action adventure, we could have a lot of entailed things here. So I guess
absolutely.
We'll just jump in. Number 5, I'm going to go with Ron Howard's "It's a Beautiful Mind."
Yeah.
Russell Crowe. This is it's a great story. It's a biography story on, I think it's John Nash, going through different things. The guy's got a mind like there's, he's used to decode things eventually for the government eventually. But, he's dealing with schizophrenia and everything else throughout the whole thing through his life. And, it turns out, eventually a Nobel Peace Prize winner and everything else that goes with it. But there's a lot of ups and downs and ebb and flow in this movie for a character that goes through a lot. And it's really driven by Russell Crowe, who drives the whole movie, to be honest with you. But the movie itself is a really good story to be told. So that's, I found it a pretty easy spot for me at number 5, to be honest with you.
Paul Bettany did a good job in that film too.
Fantastic, actually,
Yeah.
And Jennifer Connelly, let's not lose track of her.
Right. Jennifer Connelly, Jennifer Connelly does a fantastic job in that movie.
For just being a glamour girl, she really showed she could act in this movie, I think.
Yeah. She actually had a couple of good movies in that decade there, and this is definitely one of them.
She's terrific.
Yeah. So that would be my number 5. My number 4 is going to be Traffic, with Benicio del Toro, Michael Douglas, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Drama, it's got a whole bunch of different titles you could throw in here, but I'm going to keep it under the drama title because I wanted to put it in here. That's why. So that's where it's going. So
exactly.
But I mean, the drug cartel and everything else. It's a great story, actually. The crossover with the spy and a spy within the spy and the Mexican cops, and it's good little espionage kind of flick going on here, man. It's
Fantastic.
A drug cartel movie. It's really well done. And I think Benicio might have won the Oscar for this movie. Yeah,
He did.
He did. There you go.
Benicio, yeah, he won the Oscar for supporting actor.
Yeah. So it brings me to number 3. So 3, 2, 1. This is tough because 2 and 3 I flipped and flopped. So I put 2 more for personal reasons than 3. So 3 should really be 2 at least, but it's There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis, Irish oil guru guy trying to take over this whole spot, runs into, like, you know, it's basically a big battle between religion and money almost, or religion and oil, or however you want to look at it, you know, because it's a Daniel Day-Lewis movie here that
That's all you have to say, man.
that's all I have to say. I don't know if it needs much of an explanation. Watch it just for him and you won't be disappointed. Everything else is a bonus. But the bonus part is it's a really good movie. So it's
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Should be a number 2.
So.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Paul Thomas Anderson. He makes a lot of great movies.
Yeah. I don't know if I should say too much more about it. You have to watch the movie. I can't tell you anymore. Go watch this movie. You will not be disappointed. You'll understand why Daniel Day-Lewis is considered one of the greatest actors ever, to be honest with you. So, but number 2, I'm going to go to The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
Wow, very good.
And this is more like a personal pick for me. It's mainly because, you know, I love the story behind it, to be honest with you. The true story behind it about this guy is just getting creamed left, right, and center, trying to make his life work. And it's not working on any level.
Yeah.
And how he rebounds, and actually the resiliency on this guy is second to none. And it's Will Smith is fantastic in this movie, man. It's really, really good. He was up for the Oscar for it. And it's a feel-good story in the end, but to get there, just to walk in this guy's shoes, you know, makes you look internally once in a while, just find out what life is all about. So, and it's a movie that can make you think like that is a pretty powerful movie in my eyes. So a really well done drama movie for that decade. I put it at that.
Good.
But number 1, thank God it can have entail a whole bunch of different things because it's Training Day for me. So it's the good cop, the rookie cop, the Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke. Here you go, Trey. I know you liked him, so
yeah,
he's fantastic in this movie. He was up for the Oscar as well, Ethan. I think in this role,
he hangs in there with Denzel. Perfect.
Pardon me? He hangs in there with Denzel really well, actually, and
he does.
But that's a lot of credit because I still hate Denzel to this day for this character. So this is, I mean, it's there's been some evil characters we've talked about throughout the series here, you know, be it Gene Hackman and be it, you know, even the Schindler there, Ralph Fiennes there in Schindler's, you know, but, you know, Denzel, for what his character is, man, he's hanging out in that neighborhood, you know, so it's a great story. It's and the acting is top notch, which drives it. You know, I love those kind of movies where there's a whole bunch of things going on, and, you know, what should you do? A whole bunch of questions that need to be answered, sometimes quickly, sometimes over time throughout the whole movie. It makes you think about what's going on in the movie as you're watching it, and I kind of like getting drawn in on those kind of things. So it's that's my number 1 drama for the decade, man.
Very nice.
Good pick.
Thank you.
I like it. Brian?
Brian had Training Day.
For drama, the number 5 is going to be like a very personal one for me. I haven't actually been able to revisit the film since I initially watched it. When I first watched it, when it came out, I think it was 2001. It's Artificial Intelligence, AI. It was supposed to be started by Stanley Kubrick, and then of course it was finished by Steven Spielberg, telling the tale of an artificial boy that was created for this family that had a son that was had this incurable disease, and then of course the son comes out of the coma that they have him in because they have cured the disease, and then they leave this artificial boy to his own devices, just drop him out in the middle of the woods, and then Haley Joel Osment, who plays the boy, spends the rest of his existence through massive amount of times, and mankind comes and goes, and He only wants to find his mother and be with his mother.
Right.
Yeah, he did a great job in it. William Hurt's great in it as one of the scientists that had created these artificial people. Jude Law plays an artificial person in it. I didn't watch it ever again because after I watched it, my mother died not soon after that.
Ooh.
And I just had that personal connection with my mom that I can't watch that movie again for some reason. But it's a powerful movie and it sticks with me. If I recommend it to people whenever I get a chance, that I think they should see it. I think it's a great piece of film. Number 4 for me is Capote, starring Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, this just goes show you how good he is. This is, of course, it's a story around his the events surrounding his writing of the book In Cold Blood. Yep, and he's when he's interviewing the 2 guys who had supposedly, well, they actually did kill that family in Kansas, I believe it was. He's Catherine Keener's in this movie also. She plays Harper Lee. She had just got done writing To Kill a Mockingbird, actually, when the events kind of start to unfold here. This is acting on another level, guys. Philip Seymour Hoffman, you believe he is Truman Capote. I mean, when his voice mannerisms are just like, that's him. You know, I was like, it's just incredible. The guy's incredible. Number 3 for me is Clint Eastwood's Gran Torino. I'm a big fan of slice of life type movies, and this one was pretty good. I mean, Eastwood plays this grumpy old racist guy who had just lost his wife, and he begrudgingly starts to befriend this Hamong family that lives next door to him, and ultimately the events play out to where he sacrifices his life to ensure their safety. I thought it was a nice little story and a good movie for Eastwood. I really liked it. Number 2 for me is Scorsese's Gangs of New York. I know they had to convince Daniel Day-Lewis to come out of retirement because he seems to want to retire every time you turn around. They had to get him to come out of retirement to take this role. I mean, and I'm glad he did. And I don't think anybody else could have ever played Bill the Butcher after watching Daniel Day-Lewis do it. There's just no way.
Yeah.
It's about the politics in the boroughs of New York and the corruption. It's about immigration, obviously, and the battle between Protestants and Catholics, even to some extent. It was just a violent time for America, and everything. A lot of things were going on. Neeson does a great job in it. I think Henry Thomas is in it as well. Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, it's just great cast, great acting.
Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz, that's right. Yes, she does a good job. But like a double header here. Number 1 for me, There Will Be Blood. Another Daniel Day-Lewis just comes right back again. I mean, he plays Daniel Plainview, this greedy oil man who basically just manipulates and at every twist and turn. And he's up against Paul Dano's character, who is this fake man of God, who says that he's doing things for a godly purpose, but really has his own agenda as well that's really greedy in its own way. And it's that moral battle of what we think we want and what we think we need all the time. And it's just great acting all the way through. It's a powerful movie. I think Shawn touched upon a lot of things. It's my number 1. I wrote that down immediately when we were doing I did the list. Number 1.
Very good. I have to jump on both There Will Be Blood and Capote. I don't have either one in my list, but they're both going to be recognized in my acting, my top actors later on when we get to it, because they're undeniably the 2 best performances in my book of that decade. So anyway, my number 5 is Requiem for a Dream. This is the Darren Aronofsky, real stylized movie, great imagery, strong performances here about addiction and what it does to the different characters' lives within the story. Ellen Burstyn gives one of her great performances as the mom of Jared Leto, who is just this big time addict, and his girlfriend Jennifer Connelly again showing up here. They're all fantastic. Really some vivid images of drug abuse with the arm and the decaying arm. Oh my God, I can't even think about it. It's just brutal. But if that doesn't make you want to toe the line and not get involved with drugs, nothing will. I just love the movie. It's dark. Let's face it, it's bleak, but a beautiful job of filmmaking too by Aronofsky with the way he does he's got the TV thing going where they're selling you stuff, and Burston stuck in that apartment all the time, and her kids robbing her, taking the TV set away and selling it for drugs. It's just a mess. Number 4 is Michael Clayton. This is a personal movie for me. I love this movie. Legal thriller. He plays a fixer who is trying to clean up different issues within the law office. There's a lot of corruption here, and it's really a character study of a man being pulled a million different ways between his domestic life. He's divorced. He's got a gambling problem. He's got money issues. He's trying to fix this issue with Tom Wilkinson. By the way, it's George Clooney playing Michael Clayton. Right. Tom Wilkinson is this guy that's half off his rocker, and he's a key to this case. They're for billions of dollars. And Tilda Swinton is this evil, I'm going to use the word bitch, of a lawyer who will go to no length to win a case. She hires hitmen. She's slandering people. It's just unbelievable. Sidney Pollack is the boss of the law firm. He's fantastic as an actor, even though he's known as a director. I love Sidney Pollack in every movie he's been in as an actor, whether it be Tootsie, Eyes Wide Shut. He's very believable as an actor. So Michael Clayton is my number 4. I've watched that movie maybe a dozen times. I never get sick of it, and you see something different in it every time. Number 3 is Mystic River. This is another movie I'm really into for personal reasons. Directed by Clint Eastwood. There's a kid here who gets taken when he's young. Something happens to him mysterious. They grow up 20 years later. You got there's 3 friends. They're playing street hockey on the street. Cuts to 20 years later. One of them's a cop, Kevin Bacon. One of them's a local business owner and maybe a little shady, Sean Penn. And one of them suffered a trauma as a youth, and that's Tim Robbins. All 3 are excellent in this movie. Yeah. Their wives, Laura Linney's fantastic. Marcia Gay Harden. They all chip in to add to the story. Lawrence Fishburne is Kevin Bacon's partner. Fantastic cast. Eastwood gets the best of the best, and it's got a lot of ins and outs in the story about who really murdered one of the lead character's daughters too. That's the key to the movie. So I really enjoy that movie. Mystic River, shot in Boston, Mass. Number 2 is one of the great father and son and coming of age films in a way, and that is Road to Perdition, directed by Sam Mendes from 2002, starring the great Tom Hanks and the legend Paul Newman. As
great film.
It's on a comic book.
Right, it's based on a comic book. You would never know that unless you know that, because it doesn't really give you that. It does actually show him reading a comic book, one of the children, I think, in the beginning. But it's set in the gangster world during the Great Depression, beautifully filmed, great cinematography, story of redemption. I love the father and son stuff, that them on the road trying to flee these guys looking for the child played by Tyler Hoechlin, Tom Hanks' son, witnessed something that he shouldn't have seen, and they're going to hunt this kid down and kill him. Paul Newman's the father, and Daniel Craig is his loose cannon of a son. And you got Jude Law in here as a photographer too, is unforgettable. An assassin, I believe he is too. So there's all kinds of comings and goings here. I think it's a great movie, Road to Perdition. And it's sort of underrated. I don't think it was nominated for anything. Maybe Newman may have gotten a nomination for supporting actor. My number 1 is something that Shawn touched on early on in his list, and that's Traffic. I think it's the best drama of the 2000s, directed by Steven Soderbergh. It's multi-layered. It takes you look at the whole scope of drug trafficking, whether it be dealers, users, politicians, law enforcement, the cartels. It's very in-depth, amazing cast. You're talking about Michael Douglas, Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, Dennis Quaid, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and a bunch of others that I'm leaving out. The daughter here is very good. What's her name? Something Christensen. Erica Christensen. She's excellent as the addicted daughter of Michael Douglas. So this is a movie not to miss. If you haven't seen Traffic, I recommend it wholeheartedly. It's probably one of my best films of the 2000s, in the top 10 easily. So that is my list. And there's some other great ones. I wanted to put Capote. Capote just missed, as did There Will Be Blood. I love them both, but I wanted to honor them for specific performances. So they'll show up later in the list. So that wraps up our drama for 2000s. We want to thank you for watching again. Trey, reactions to the classics. Brian, AYBL Maine. Check out their channels, please. Subscribe to them. They're both fantastic. And we will be back with war films of the 2000s in our next segment. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye.